Hello there, it's your Uncle Clivey-Wivey here. I'm sorry I've been away for so long, but the lads over at Spectrum Days, they gave me a few weeks off. Anyway, I'm back because they said they were talking about Robocop, and I'm the first person ever in the world to make Robobots. So here it is, the Spectrum Days lads with their review of Robocop.
Welcome to Spectrum Days, the podcast where we ruin our childhood memories of games we used to play. With me, Chris, and cousin Phil.
Hello. How are you all doing? Everyone all right?
Very good, thanks very much.
Good.
You have a good weekend?
Oh, yeah, good. Remember this? Remember that?
Yeah. So we're going to do... that's the one.
That's the one.
So we're going to talk about Robocop today.
No, that's not Robocop.
Oh.
That was the Ariston advert. That's the actual
because that isn't
film. Well done, well remembered.
Yes. So why didn't they put the proper song? I wonder if that was rights. I wonder if that was a problem with the rights, because you would have thought they would have been able to do that song.
Well, I wonder if they did in the arcade. We might have to look at the arcade, obviously, as well. But the thing with the arcade was that was Data East. They sub-licensed it off Ocean. It was Gary Bracey from Ocean. He was pretty brave. Either brave, stupid, or a genius. I'm not entirely sure. Perhaps a bit of all three. He did this quite a few times working for Ocean, where he'd go out and get rights to films while they were still at sort of script stage. So he was basically...
Really?
Yeah, so he'd be going to these places and they were like, well, yeah, we don't know whether this film's going to be big or not. So he was able to get licenses to stuff dirt cheap, which is what he did with Robocop, which was, it was a fairly low budget film. It's 13 million to do Robocop, but it made that like 58 million in its first week on release or something. It ended up being a really successful film. But by then, of course, he'd already had the rights. And it was Data East, as I say, sublet, or whatever you want to call it, got the rights off Ocean to do the arcade cabinet, which also worked well for Ocean because it meant that Data East were the ones who had to go along to watch it being filmed and do all the sort of set photos and got sent videos and stuff from the production people. Was it Orion? I think perhaps did Robocop. I can't remember now. So they did all the legwork for getting all the graphics together based on the plot and what have you from the film, which meant when Ocean then did the game for the home computers, I think came out the Spectrum, Commodore 64, and then later on the following year it was then Amiga and ST. So they already had sort of everything already done. So they had an amazing deal out of it, really.
So you're saying that Ocean got the license, sub-licensed it to Data East. Yeah. Data East made the console, the arcade game in Japan, and then the ZX Spectrum one was based on that.
But they changed it, yeah. One, right? So it wasn't sort of an arcade port. The Spectrum version is different to the arcade, and I think they
got some extra parts.
Yeah, I think they put more in of the what we were talking about off air. The sort of where they use the sort of sights, don't they, to sort of do the. It's the bit from the film where he shoots the guy in the balls.
Yeah. When I saw those, So just for everyone, let's rewind. Robocop, side-scrolling, beat 'em up, shoot 'em up. I don't know what.
Run and gun. Run and gun.
Apparently,
you'd probably call it.
Yeah,
run
but it's not
and
a
gun.
metal slug.
No, you'd probably call it. It's more trudge and gun. Stomp and trudge, a shuffle gun.
Shuffle and gun. Shuffle and gun. So it's the shuffle and gun, and when I did remind myself, when I did see an image of those extra like extra content, the mini game, I guess,
where
it isn't
games.
shuffle and gun. That's what brought it all back. Then I did remember the game. I do remember playing it.
You got to match the faces as well, haven't you? That's one of the other ones. It's sort of an ID thing.
Yeah,
you get two faces up on the screen, and you've got to sort of adjust the E-fit sort of thing, isn't it? That you mix and match the noses and the eyes, and I remember that quite well.
But so you shuffle along and shoot the enemies on the screen, punch them as well.
Yes. I think if you run out of bullets, you use punch, and also I think if you're perhaps in close proximity, does that ring a bell? I think perhaps.
I have to ask, is there a shin kick?
I think you can duck and punch.
Duck and punch, another classic.
Yeah, the old duck and punch.
Yeah.
Which is a drink.
And then duck and punch. A pint.
Which, after a pint of that, we all shuffle, I tell you. Stumbling around for our gun as we go into the urinal.
We should buy a pint of a duck punch for the developer. I mean, this is another game which has been developed by Mike Lamb.
Yes.
So we've already covered Renegade, and which is also a side-scrolling walk along and punch people.
Shuffle and punch.
So shuffle and punch. Shuffle and punch. Hey, one day we should play the most famous of all shuffle and punch games.
Go on.
Altered Beast.
Yeah, don't swear.
Which does have a good shin kick.
Please don't swear. But so only have to beep that out. Don't say that name.
But and then so Mike Lamb coded it, which is amazing because that means he did Renegade, which was, if I remember rightly, one of our favourite games.
Brilliant game, yeah.
And he's also done Steve Davis Snooker, which we haven't covered yet, but is amazing. Yeah. It's like you're there.
Shuffle and pot.
It's shuffle and pot. It's like you're there.
It's like
he also coded the Game Boy version, which is the version that you were just.
That's what was. Yeah.
Well, Mike's done that as well.
Good old Mike.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And who did the music? Do you know offhand who did I can't remember who did the music now, but that my vague offhand comment about Ariston, that version, the Robocop on the Game Boy, which didn't come out until 1990, so a couple of years after, is very similar to the Specky version. And that's the music they used on the Ariston adverts, which I expect if you're watching our YouTube channel now, you'll probably see it and hear it. Or we'll get sued. Really? I don't know. If you aren't seeing and hearing it, it's because we got sued.
And Ariston. And on. And on. And on. And Ariston. And Ariston. And on. And on and on.
What are your memories of playing the game?
Robocop on the Specky. I love it. It's great. That's really not a surprise. And as you alluded to earlier on, this is kind of, I think, for us, for people like us who we count ourselves very lucky. We were spoilt, I suppose, in that we were able to move on even within the 8-bit arena, so onto like the Master System, or for even more lucky, then onto the Amiga, the 16 bits. And frankly, 88, this came out and was still in the charts, I think in the top 10 or top 20 a year and a half later. So well into getting on for 1990, the Mega Drive. And not long after that, obviously the Super Nintendo. So, I mean, this really was the end, not the end of the spectrum, but the end of our being exclusively chained to and using the Spectrum. I mean, we were starting to move on by now.
Yeah, I didn't realize how lucky I was at the time. But if you think I was 14, if this came out on the Game Boy, I actually did own a Game Boy. 1 year later, for Christmas, it was the famous Amiga A500 Batman pack, which I had for Christmas, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 14. This must have been one of the, because at home we also had a Sega Master System.
Yeah.
So yeah, this must have been a little bit at the end of the Spectrum days. But it's amazing. But we really should try and speak with Mike. I think he's on our wavelength, because in an interview I read with him, although the interview was in 1997. The interviewer on worldofspectrum.net, they asked him, "What do you think of your games? Which is your personal favourite?" And Mike responds, "Mostly crap. Looking back, we didn't spend enough time on gameplay. The way you got respect from the other programmers at Ocean was to do clever technical stuff," which has been a bit of one of our comments on a few games, to be honest. But that does make me worry a little bit now, going back to play it. If does that mean there wasn't enough time spent on gameplay? It comes from the arcade. Anything that we've looked at that came from the arcade, it's always been a bit hard.
Yeah,
is it going to be really hard?
No, no. This isn't, like I said earlier on. This isn't the arcade game. It's not. They didn't just immediately say, right, we'll just make exactly the same game. It's not. The arcade one, you probably get through the first level if you played it, and then that's it. It will just eat your money. It's pretty tough. It's probably fairly typical, actually, I should say, for an arcade game, the arcade version of Robocop, but it's hard. No, the Spectrum version's not as hard as that. It's still it's a challenge. And I remember it being a challenge, but I remember it's a game I played a lot and can't specifically remember whether I completed it, to quote our own tagline. I'm not actually sure, but the fact that it stayed in the charts for a year and a half, whatever it was I said, everyone liked it and everyone had it. No, I think this is genuinely a very good, very well regarded, very well made. The music was brilliant. The load screen was amazing. The one that comes up when it's finished loading. I can't remember if it's starting to load or when it finishes loading. It's got speech, which was which again was fairly unheard of on the Spectrum.
Oh, I couldn't remember that.
It might have been 128 only. We will find that out in the second half.
Are you sure? Or did the instructions just say, turn the tape over, press play, and listen to the...
No.
Did it actually come from the Spectrum?
No, it's got a list of suggested phrases you may wish to say at certain points during this game. When it loads, say, Robocop.
Ask your mum or dad
to stand behind you.
Ask your mum and dad to...
What about the bit with those women and they're doing the cocaine and that bloke comes in? Bitches, leave. You can imagine getting your mum to say that. Is it Clarence Broderick? Is that his name?
Good. Well, she could feed you baby food from behind or something.
Whoa! Wow!
That's a baby food bit.
That's a very
Robocop could only eat baby food.
Baby food enemas. Wow!
I mean, like with a spoon for the side. She could be in front of you and obscure the TV screen.
No wonder Robocop shuffles. Oh my God. Why feed you baby food from behind? I'd buy that for $1.
It did really well, right? The magazines loved it.
Everyone reviewed it massively highly. Yeah, it's got mid-90s, I think, in some of the mags. Yeah,
I've read 94% in Sinclair
There you
user, and your Sinclair gave 8.8 out of 10. 8.8.
Yeah.
That's like a thumb, a 3/4 up,
Right
sort
up.
of thumb, right? One thumb right up.
The baby food. Yeah, that definitely. I think it's time to move on, isn't it? Yeah. Well, there you are, folks. That's pretty much what we remember about Robocop. It was brilliant. I don't think we need to play it this time, but we're going to. So do join in. There'll be a link below if you want to play it. If you haven't played it in a long time, please do join in and play it. We will be back in for you, but a few seconds. But for us, it'll be a few days where we go off and play Robocop. Uphold the innocent, protect the law, or something like that. And we're back. Welcome to part 2 of Spectrum Days. Games and movies that we played, loved, watched, which is because we've now changed our name, everybody, if you didn't know. Halfway through an episode, in fact.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're all back, everybody. It was obviously just a few seconds for you. It's been days we've been off playing Robocop. I hope you all joined in and played Robocop. If you didn't, do feel free to pause now and pop off and play it and come back so you can join in with us and commiserate, because no doubt Chris found this very hard, complicated, and he hates it.
No, I don't hate it, actually. I quite like it, but it is hard. Yeah. Again, it's coming back to my theory. It is on the spectrum, so far removed from modern day gaming that I accept everything that happens. And I don't find it was a little bit frustrating, but it's good. I like it. The music's amazing. I think I play it just for the music.
Was it Jonathan Dunn? Am I getting that right? Is that the guy who did the music?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it is.
But I mean, it would have been just so easy just to do a riff. Maybe they didn't have the rights, which would be a bit strange. But would it be just so easy just to do the riff from the film? The dun, 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 you know. So, but they didn't. They just did a whole Depeche Mode song.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Brilliant.
mentioning to you before we started recording, I asked you whether you'd actually let that play out fully, because that just goes on. I know it's like 10-minute opus, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, I loved it. I mean, I remember being a little bit jealous of the Commodore 64 because of the chip tunes on that, and music on the C64 was great. But playing this again made me think that the music was good on the Spectrum. So, yeah, I really like that. I played it on the Spectrum. I played it on the Game Boy. The arcade version, gave that a quick go.
a quick go, was it, on the arcade one? Quite quick, was it?
Yeah. Why? What's that?
Yeah. Why was that? Why was it quick?
Oh, it's too easy. The arcade one was too easy.
The arcade game. I'm amazed it made any money at all. Was 110p you get at the end of the game when you first go.
Well, that's the thing on the emulator. You could just chuck a load of coins in, right? Virtual coins.
It still doesn't help. It's still hard as nails.
It's much more frenetic than the Spectrum one. As we were saying before, the Spectrum one is a shuffle and gun. The arcade one is a run and gun. The arcade one is run and gun. The Game Boy version is jog and gun, and the Spectrum is shuffle and gun. Yeah.
It is remarkable. I don't know whether it is just a sort of monochrome thing, but the Game Boy and Spectrum versions are really quite similar.
Ooh, the Game Boy one's a lot faster. It's got you can jump, which on the Spectrum one I don't think you can jump. You're correct.
Did you not find the jump button?
You can't jump on the Spectrum one.
You can jump really high up.
No, you can't. Next thing you're going to tell me is that you can go up the stairs.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. Did you have trouble with the stairs?
So hopefully you played the game, everyone who's listening. But if you play it sideways scrolling, shoot them up. But there are some enemies above you, and you normally shoot straight up or diagonally to take them out. On the Spectrum, I was constantly running out of ammo, and then I'd have trouble with the guys with the chainsaws. Sometimes I'd shoot the guys with the chainsaws right in the face, and they wouldn't die. Sometimes I'd shoot them multiple times in the back and they wouldn't die. Sometimes it only seemed to work was to wait for them to come at me, crouch down and punch them in the nuts. But there was clearly like these staircases which looked like you should be able to go up. And I tried and I didn't do it. And then I watched a walkthrough on YouTube and I see you can go up those stairs. So...
Spectrum days, ambitious but rubbish.
I got off level 1.
Well done.
Yeah, I had to kill the hostage taker on the little mini game at the end of level 1.
Did you shoot him in the nuts like in the film?
Hello there, I'm the man from Robocop who has his balls shot off. Well, they weren't actually shot off. I'm actually a professional stuntman. That's how we did the scene. Back then, there wasn't much money involved in Robocop, so they needed me. I specialise in having my balls attacked. I do a lot of other work in films if it requires kick to the ghoulies, punch to the ghoulies, or having them shot off. There was an incident when I was young. Basically, my balls didn't continue down the canal like in most men. So I can do those sorts of stunts. I've done a lot of work on Jackass, actually. Jackass, they don't always do their own stunts. I do quite a lot of those stunts. And are you thinking, I recognise their voice? Yes, I did sing I'm Walking in the Air on for the Snowman. No, I'm not Alec Jones. He did the record. I'm the one who sung on the actual film. I'm not bitter about it or anything. Yeah.
No, I shot him in the scalp, the top of the head.
Oh,
I think
you scalped him.
Yeah, the wig.
It's amazing. We were only just saying before we started recording, weren't we? We were talking about Jazz Rignall put on a post about what was that game, the FMV game Night Trap, saying about how terrible that was and all the problems that caused. Yeah, this game came out well before that and was only played by children. And it's all about killing lots of people, shooting blokes in the nuts who are holding women hostage down some alleyway.
Well, the film, if I remember the film rightly, it was pretty, savage.
Yeah, totally.
It's a savage film. I don't know what age this was, the game. Was there a warning or... Have you got the box? Have you got the game? Have a look. Has it got a warning on it?
Right here in front of me. I mean, there's 0 warnings on it.
It's not like 7+. Is it a PG?
And as was par the course back then. These were universal boxes. I mean, the box was made for every single format, and then there was just a sticker that was put on. So this one's got a sticker very, very crookedly put on the top that says it's for Spectrum. So I mean, there's nothing. No, there's absolutely nothing.
So back in those days, there were no like age limits on games.
No, it wasn't until the game we just mentioned,
but this
Night Trap.
But this one's so realistic.
It is. I felt quite soiled after playing it.
It's a bit annoying on the Spectrum. When you get hit, you kind of you get stunned, and I think it's too long. You said it was because it was replicating what happens in the film, but he gets
very
stunned.
Accurate.
He gets stunned for too long. And in the Game Boy version, you can jump, and it's that bit faster.
And also, you've got infinite ammo.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what does tie those two games together, from what I've learned on the internet, is that Mike Lamb coded both of them. Thank you, Mike. I can't believe how much influence Mike had on our young lives. He made this, he made Renegade, Steve Davis Snooker, Pool, some other games for Ocean. And thank you very much, Mike. It's a great game. But yeah, the Game Boy one. But the Game Boy one, I wondered if he lifted the sprites directly from Where the Exploding Fist when they come flying in with the flying kicks. It looks
There
like
was there's some crossover there.
yeah, it looks like they've got gis on. It looks like they're out in the street with their karate kits on. Because like the other guys are like in their jeans or something. But yeah, the guys doing the flying kicks look like they've suddenly come out of their local dojo.
Yeah, I played it. Yeah, I played it on the Game Boy. I played it on the NES very briefly by emulation. It was pretty awful. I gave up with it so quickly. I'm sure if you're watching our YouTube channel, you are looking at the footage of that right now. Me refusing to play it because it's so awful. Apologies if anyone out there it's their favourite Nintendo game. You have my sympathies if you thought that was your favourite game. But it's pretty terrible. Where else did I play? I tried playing it on the Commodore 64, which although I think I mentioned in the first part of this podcast is the one where it was actually balked and you couldn't actually complete it. The initial, I don't know whether it's just the initial run of the game and whether they actually did fix it later on, but to meet the deadline, they pushed it out. It was actually not completable. So I did.
It wouldn't matter to me.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. But I did try and play it by emulation, and the version that I found obviously just didn't. I just couldn't get it to work. I just could not get it to start. But what was really funny, as is often with the attract screens that you have on these games, where it flicks from sort of the Robocop logo to then usually showing you the top 10 scores. Do you remember that on most games? It would sort of flick. Well, all the names in it, again, if you're watching the YouTube channel, you'll see it on the screen. But it's all words. It's all really terrible. It's like depression, angst. And each of the top 10 is just like these terrible words of depression and terribleness. It's really funny.
They probably employed a 16-year-old bedroom coder to make the C64 version, and he was there. You know, he was normal payment in those days would have been just one C64. And £3,000 probably
for 3 games.
Well, that's true.
To be made within a 3-month period, or you lose everything.
And all these coders must have been there listening to Depeche Mode, and because all the music sounds is that kind of sort of thing. They're all just depressed coding arcade conversions.
Yeah. Big shout out to the Spectrum. I agree, but that's the 128 version. I'm assuming the 48A probably didn't have the music. I don't know, but I'm guessing the 128 was the only one with the speech.
So
a bit of speech,
is
didn't
that
it?
why I don't remember the Spectrum having such good music then? Because I had a 48K.
Because I had the 128, so for me it sounded just like I remembered it.
How middle class of you, Phil?
It was very the one time when I out middle classed you.
In the Spectrum game, it's quite interesting that you had different guns, because like up to now, I don't think there's other games where you collect different guns, but you get no choice over which gun you use. You can't swap between them. You just get the next gun.
No, I wondered that. I must admit, I couldn't remember that from back in the day, and I couldn't seem to see whether you could now. No, they just sort of run out. You pick up an extra weapon. There's a sort of a 3 spread shot weapon.
Yeah.
And there's a sort of instant kill bullet that just sort of seems to go through multiple enemies. But they just basically run it. You go about 10, 20 shots and they're gone. And then you're back to your standard gun. But yeah, the Spectrum, it's probably is more involved in the Spectrum game. You have got more of that trying to think about, I'm going to run out of bullets, whatever. Whereas the Game Boy one, you can just bang, 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 you just keep going. And I think the arcade the same. It's infinite bullets on the basic gun.
Yeah. The arcade one's like really fast, very colourful. In fact, I was quite surprised. I mean, maybe I'd never seen that in the arcade, but it was very colourful and fast, smooth. And then you look at the Spectrum version, what we would have been playing at home. Yeah, it's just that is that little bit slower, and it's more of a tactical a tactical shooting experience. There's also got the level with the motorbikes on, which is reminiscent of Renegade as well, but you can't fly and kick them. You can just shoot them.
No.
You have to stand up and shoot them as they go past.
Yeah. Yeah, or you sort of punch things when you get near. You automatically punch, don't you, when stuff gets near?
Yeah, I'd constantly run out of bullets and have to try and punch people, but it just didn't always work. Didn't always work. So how did you climb the stairs? Is it like in Saboteur? You have to be exactly in the right pixel perfect place and push up.
I'm being slightly cruel.
You didn't do it yourself.
No, I think the first level there are stairs that you can't go up. I think it might be the second or third level. There are then sets of stairs, and then there's lifts. And Ed 209. You didn't get anywhere. You didn't even get to Ed 209, did you?
On the arcade one, I did.
No, because that's in the very first level. No, on the Spectrum. That doesn't count. Just because you got somewhere in another version, it doesn't count the Spectrum version. So you didn't see Ed 209 and Dick behind his desk.
Wait a minute. Let me look at this walkthrough. Yeah, there you go. So if I remember rightly, the background was white on the level where you get the first Ed 209. You're in an office. Yeah, there's a bloke behind the desk.
Dick behind his desk.
Yeah, he's in Omnicorp or whatever it's called.
OCP.
Yeah.
Cut logo. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got the logo in the background. Some sort of...
Must be interesting seeing these levels you've never seen before. Enlightening.
Yeah. But
so ultimately, really good game. It's what I remember from playing back in 1989 or whether 88, whenever this came out. It's exactly what I remember. The sound is exactly like I remember. It plays like I remember. This isn't one I'm disappointed by. It is what I remember it being. It still holds up. It's still good, and actually is. Having now played quite a few versions of it, I'd say it's one of the better ones. It's ultimately, perhaps the Game Boy is probably the one that I choose to play. But this is certainly up there for me. I'd far rather play this in the arcade. The arcade's just ridiculously difficult. But anyway.
Yeah, I'd give this a double thumbs up, really, on the scale.
I bet you would.
What did you give it out of your Spectrum Days gaming scale?
There's gaming scale, at least an 8.
Yeah.
Out of 12.
Listen to me, citizen. You must like, subscribe, comment, and give us 5 stars, or there will be trouble.
Yeah, I agree. It does what it says it does, and like it. I like it.
Well, there we are, folks. We got a winner, a game that we actually like. So let us all know below, folks, what did you think of the game? Did you actually play it? Did you own it back in the day? Did you own it on a different format? Did you play it in the arcade? I did see it in the arcade once. I can't remember playing it in the arcade, but I know I'd definitely seen it in the arcade back in the day. What game are we looking at next?
So the next episode will be about that game that spawned so many other games. The original
Starwing.
Yeah, the original Starwing, Star Fox, Space Harrier. Actually, I've seen someone's do like an indie game which looks very, very much like Space Harrier coming out on Steam as well soon.
I don't care. What's the game we're doing
Anyway, next game, Death Chase.
Death Chase?
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Really?
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay. Well, there's our subscribers all gone.
What do you mean? This one will take everyone back. This must be one of the first games, really. I mean, yeah. Well,
I can't wait to see you play this. I'm sure you'll get to level 1 easily. Well, there you are, folks. That was Robocop, and it's Death Chase next. Oh, we're banging out the classics.
Bye, everyone.
Next time. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
You can email us at hello@spectrumdays.com, and you can contact us on Twitter @SpectrumDaysPod. And you can also find us on YouTube just by looking up Spectrum Days.